Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we are going to tackle the decals on the Renault Alpine that has been painted. And yeah, painted it last night, this morning. I can't remember now. So here are the original decals from, I believe this was let's see, 1982. And as you can see, they were yellowed, and yeah, they're just junk. So there are some of these that I do need, uh, which is this decal right here. Is that goes on the helmet of the driver that we're going to build, and that is not on my replacement decals. So we'll have to save that somehow. Here are the new decal sheet from Decals. They're not exactly my favorites because this, if you're not familiar with decals, this is one solid sheet of decal film that these are printed on. So unlike normal kits where you just cut them out and they slide off with minimal film, these you actually need to, prior to cutting them out, they need to be trimmed like as close as possible to eliminate all the unnecessary decal film, because otherwise you end up with just issues with how it looks, because if you got too much decal film, it'll show. It can even show after you've done your clear coat. So we're going to trim it up. So I'm not going to do this process for every single decal, but I'm going to do one real quick and then kind of speed through the rest of them. So we're going to start with this one right here, which goes on this edge right here. So I've got a brand new blade on my X-Acto. I've got a straight edge, which is probably going to be really shiny in the camera. I'm going to be using Micro Set, Micro Salt. That's my go-to for normal applications. I've got a cheap regular brush, and I've got a silicone brush to help in the placement of the decal and to move it around, and tweezers. So first thing we want to do is grab our straight edge and see if I can get this in camera. I want to get my optivisor on so I can really see close, because I want to be close, but I don't want to cut the decal itself. And you don't really have to put too much pressure, because we're not looking to cut the entire decal out. We're just removing trim or film. Because when it gets wet, when the decal comes loose from the paper, we can just pull the excess off before we remove the decal. So that can freehand this corner. Let's do that. Now come over here, this side. With my non-dominant hand here. There we go. Now this is curved, So I'm going to have to kind of adjust it as I go. I kind of wanted to do this on my silhouette cutter, but unless you have a solid line for it to trace, it's very difficult to do, and this decal does not have a line right here to follow, and it takes too much time to add a line and alter the decal or the program to follow it. So we're just going to do it the manual way. I promise in an upcoming build we're going to get into cutting decals out with a cutter. That will be fun. There. Now grab my scissors and actually cut it out. Always put your decals somewhere where the water cannot get to it, because you never know when you may spill. So I'm going to grab these tweezers that will hold, and I'm going to dunk them into my water. Not for too long. And that's about good enough. Get our scissors out of the way. Now I will say at this point in the build process, once I have done my paint, I do not handle the build with my hands as very little as possible, because I don't want to mess it up. Grab some micro set and a brush, and just brush it on really liberally. Now that should be ready to go. See, yep, our decal film is coming off. Set that off here so we can throw it away. Alright. Hopefully this is not too translucent for this yellow. Come on. There we go. I'm not precisely sure where this lines up at, to be perfectly honest. Because in the instruction sheet, it the back end of it is blocked by the wing. Alright, let me move that brush. We're just going to brush on some water because we don't want the decal to dry out just yet. And using a red sable isn't really the best brush for this. Okay. It needs to move over just a tad. So that is going to go right next to it. I think we're in place. Because the upright for the wing is supposed to be inside that line. But I think it almost needs to be moved over a little bit. Oop. Oh, maybe not that far. Nope, I don't think that worked. I think that's what we're going to leave it, right there. Alright, let's grab a Q-tip, kind of dampen it, and we'll roll it. That's going to look really good because unless you're really looking at it, you cannot see that decal film. That's how well it's been trimmed. Alright, that one is done. Now, microsol. I probably will not use microsol on this. I'm going to let it dry first and see what it looks like once it's dry. For flat surfaces, honestly, as long as you've got a good surface, you really don't need microsol because it's not going to lift off a perfectly flat surface. It's only when you need it to soften and contour to a really weird shape. And this doesn't really have any of those shapes that we got to worry about too much. But if we find anything like that, then we definitely will use it. But for now, I think it's good. Alright, so there's a decal. That's how I did it. Now we're going to kind of pause and we're going to kind of put them on as I go on and off camera and kind of speed it up a bit. So hang tight. Hey guys, I'm back. So I found an issue that with the decals that I figured I'd better press play or record rather and show you the issue, and we can fix this on camera together. So this is going to be a little odd, or it's a little different, but hey, this is questionable scale modeling, so it may work, it may not work. Here's the problem. This decal right here with a little fuel filler cutout has to go right there. And the issue is there's an air duct right in the middle of where that decal goes, and it is not already cut for that air vent. And the problem is that IndyCals will tell you in their instructions that once these are taken off the sheet, they cannot be cut. Now, I can't speak for this one because the ones that the IndyCals that I've dealt with, they're all different. And the last set that I had, I put them on the car and tried to cut it to conform to panel lines, and it did not go well. So I've learned to cut them before I actually get them into water. So how do we do that? Well, this is going to be an experiment. I'm going to use my Tamiya tape. Cut a little piece of Tamiya tape. Let me get everything on camera in camera view so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to place this piece of tape right on top of the decal, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to trace along it with a pencil as best I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just enough to where we can get the piece of tape placed right where the decal belongs on the car. And I'm off camera. Damn it. I'll learn, guys. I will learn. Alright. I think I've got it traced out good enough. Now we're going to very carefully take our tape off. And now we have a semi-representation of where that decal is going to go. Now the problem is I just put this decal on, so what I'm going to do is actually going to cut the tape right on that line because I do not want to grab that decal with this tape. That would be very, very bad. And my dog is upstairs barking, probably at a leaf blowing down the street, because that's what he does. Alright, so we're going to place this tape as close to where we think it's going to go. Hope that's not too annoying. I know it's annoying for me, and he's my dog. Trim it up a little bit. Now I think we can move it just a little bit. That actually doesn't look bad, but I think I'm going to try it one more time. I think I can do better. I have done this one other time on a Mustang GT. That's not right. On a Mustang GT4, I think. And it worked really, really well. And problem is I want this to line up perfectly with. Oops, that didn't work. Let's cut this other line. I think that is right where it's going to go. Well, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our number 2 pencil and we're going to trace right where that duct is. like that, and like that. Now we'll take our tape back off. Now we're going to place it on our decal back where it was. Is that close enough? Let's see. I think it could be a little higher. I think my dog wants attention. He's going to have to wait his turn. Alright, there we go. I think that's going to be good enough. So now, we're going to very, very carefully trace this out with our knife. But I'm going to put my optimizer on so I can see very close. Yeah, I see you down there. Give me a second. Let me finish this little segment and then I'll pay attention to you. There we go. And instead of hitting stop because we're done with that part, we're actually just going to keep going and get this sucker placed. Might gone a little deep on that. So now we still got to cut it out. Do our trimming process. The other side of the car does not have that air duct, thankfully. So we only have to do this once. I'm still off camera again. I wish there was a way to ring a bell or an alarm that would go off when I'm not in camera. To remind me. There. Now we cut it out. Oh, one more thing. I forgot, we gotta cut out this little semicircle where the fueler cap is. Because we don't want all that decal film, do we? We can have a little bit. Better to remove it now than once it gets wet. There we go. Alright, let's get this sucker in the water and see how we did. I have high hopes. The main thing is we don't tear our little section out. Okay. Take decal film off. Come on. Get off my tweezers. Now, let's get our car over here. Get some micro set. Let's see how we did. That out of the way. Now, carefully. Well, it's not 100% perfect, but then I don't think that's my fault. I think the cutout for the fueler cap is not on the decal in exactly the right spot. So I'm still going to call that a win. So we're going to actually hit this with some micro sol. Since now we're dealing with edges and curves, depressions. There. I think that looks good. If I can get it to focus a little better. I think I have an issue with my camera. Okay, so here was the finished product after several weeks and many heartaches and problems. It is essentially done. We did have several wrinkles in the front two and the two sides because I could not get these decals to make what I would consider a nice, simple, complex curve. That's not really that complex. Not sure why. If anybody has any insight or knows a better way to handle these decals, by all means, let me know in the comments because I'm always willing to try new things. And as far as decals themselves, here is a piece, here's part of the problem. This is a piece of decal film that was left over. And as you can see, I'm slowly stretching this apart. Now, had this been a normal decal, this would be brittle. Number one, I wouldn't have been able to get it off the desk in one piece. But this is stretchy. Even after several days, it's still stretchy. That's not the way a decal should behave. So, that's that. The other problem with their decals is this white is super translucent. Can't see it in camera, but I can see the yellow straight through the decal. And for this purpose, it's okay, but I think it could be better. So Clear coat's next after I do some touch-ups to where the decals messed up. I got to touch up some paint here and there. And other than that, thank you for watching.